The Arturelia show was a thought process of wanting to make a talk show and talk about different things that I liked. At the time, this platform was pretty much called Arturelia. I remember the day clearly. I decided to pretty much record that same day. I was dealing with a very OCD issue through the teenage years of my life. But I decided to push forward and do the episode. So the first episode was not that great of quality. Yes, I was still young, and well, it was a learning process. This was actually the first time I introduced the clones into the show. But at the time I didn't keep up with the numbers of the clones, which the nerd clone, before he was considered clone number 1, he was clone number 2. And thus began the talk show, the Arturelia show, where we talked about pop culture news and sports and stuff like that. And talked about whatever. So I put up the first episode, which my channel was only, about 4 years old. At this time, I didn't really know where I wanted to go with the channel. But since it was called the Arturelia channel, I decided this would be the logo for the channel, the Arturelia show. And it was fun. It gave me a lot of creativity, introducing the clones, even introducing, yes, the Sad Robber. This is where the Sad Robber came to be. And yeah, it was a learning process, and I learned a lot from editing, which I was using a different program, like Power Director, I think? Yeah, it was Power Director, and then Corel Studio later on. These first 2 episodes were, yeah, pretty much a thing that I was hopefully going to make into a big thing. However, I noticed the mistake of naming one of the clones number 1, which was the nerd, and that's when it kind of stuck. At that point, there was the longest hiatus of not doing any episodes after episode 2, so that is when I decided to reboot it. And this time, clone number 1 will be clone number 1, and that's how everything came to be. So yeah, a year went on by and there was no new episodes that I made. It wasn't until 2014 that I decided to bring the show back with my sister and bring the clones, which would be clone number 1, clone number 2, and clone number 3. And I still remember their numbers to this day because I view in color. So clone number 1, I obviously just remember because of that mistake. Clone number 2, I always think of a greenish color because of his military uniform, even though he'll wear tan sometimes. And clone number 3 because of a yellowish color, because he's a cowboy. So we put a few episodes out here and there, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, and onward, talking about specific things, even our pet rats that we had at the time. However, there would be points where we would go on a bit of a hiatus here and there, but I kept popping out some episodes every so often. Let me see. Oh yeah, here are the dates of when they were released. Yep. There were gaps in between the episodes, but overall they were fun and I learned a lot. Though I do think my acting has improved a lot better though. Now I will mention that some of these scenes from the Arturelia show of the clones do pop up in my pop culture talk because I still think they hold up, some of them. Not all, but some of them. In 2015, the platform became Arturelia, and a new avatar and a new logo and stuff like that, but I kept on creating more of the Arturelia episodes, but by that point I had branched out pretty far and wide with reviews, and then the gaming discussions, and then later the movie and show discussions. I also started to create other things. I put up random stuff, which now I have stopped because I'm not doing that sort of stuff anymore. But yeah, I didn't really know where to take the channel. The Arturelia show was supposed to be that logo, that brand for the channel. And by this point on, it started to disappear a bit. I still made a few other episodes until 2018. This was around the time I stopped the first season, and I had announced at the time when I had a Tumblr account, which I'd later deleted because I'm spread out far and wide. I don't want to stretch myself thin and wide. I did announce that there would be a second season. Around this time, I was starting to make original content, which was the toy war, he said, she said. You know, I couldn't keep up with everything. The gaming room discussions, and then the movie and show discussions, and then the reviews, they were starting to take up so much of my time. I kept randomly putting up stuff, and you know, I was kind of just all over the place. It wouldn't be until later that I officially decided to not do any more of this show, the Arturelia show. as by that point I had moved on. I had moved on to other specific things. A new brand, logo, stuff like that. I wanted to move on to creating original things, and then on top of that doing the other side of things like reviewing stuff. It had a okay run because at least it gave me some experiment with how to edit things, and also it gave me the clones that I have pretty much added back into anything entertainment wise or just anything wise, like my reviews or my discussions or even top 10s. Some elements you can still see today in my other projects, like the Pop Culture Talk series. It was a fun experience to mess with the Arturelia show. Was it perfect? Not really. But was it something fun? Absolutely.